Tom Vassel's top 100 games of all time. Z Garcia, voice of the people.
Good morning, everybody. No, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Roy Kennedy.
I'm Mike Delisio.
And I'm Z Kennedy. No,
What?
That's not the one. Garcia Delisio.
So
Sure.
we just were talking about the voice of the people. And so I put a poll up on YouTube because I just realized we have that function. And it says, whose top 100 are you agreeing with the most so far? And right now, it looks like there is 541 votes. In last place, with 5%, Roy Kennedy.
If there's one thing I know about thematic gamers, they don't do polls.
Math! Get out of my face.
Too busy rolling dice.
Well, that's true. Since Roy's the only person who put Magic the Gathering on his list, and he should win right there, right? Then Mike in second last place with 14%. Then I have 21%. Z coming in second with 25%. But oddly enough, the people is coming with 35%.
That's hilarious. That was a choice. I mean,
Tom,
yeah.
did you make this poll?
Yeah, he
I
did.
did. I want to know which top 100 people were agreeing with thus
Tom,
far.
there's a fundamental flaw in your poll.
If you even mention the grammar, Mike, I'm going to walk over to your room.
No, it's not grammar. Just
No,
Okay.
you put in the people's choice as one of the
Right.
choices.
right.
Yes, it doesn't matter. If your name is Bob and you're sitting there, I want to know which of the 5 top 100s you agree with. It doesn't matter if it's the people's choice. That
Right,
still
but
might not be
you're
what you
asking-
agree with.
You're asking Bob if Bob agrees with himself more than anybody
Bob might
else.
not have voted, and he may not agree with how the people's choice turned out.
Then
Bob
it's
missed
invalid,
his
and he should not be
opportunity
allowed to vote. Bob doesn't get a vote. You don't vote for the people's choice?
I don't think they should
can't
be
say
disparaging Bob like this. Bob,
First of all,
I agree with you.
65% of the people did not vote for that list. So your fundamental thinking is flawed.
Ooh, you got
it's not saying anything.
old.
Let me
Doesn't matter
drink
what you think.
More of this hot chocolate
me,
to
Bob.
calm myself down.
Bob, help me, Bob.
That sounded like Jason on the
Just
third
listen.
little boat.
I'm
talking
okay
about,
being
Bob?
more niche.
Tom,
Everybody
help me,
thought
help
that
me, Tom.
Z's
Tom,
list
help
is
me.
the quirky list. I can be the list
Folks.
that doesn't get as many votes. That's fine.
Welcome to the top 100.
Wow.
You can tell we've been doing this for a bit. This is our third last list. We're in the top third. These are exciting games that just didn't make the top 20, but they're still quite good.
They're all right. They're okay.
These are games that are almost good.
Almost
I
good.
love
I
these
like
games.
to think of it.
Luke says Team Z.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right. Well,
Which Luke? Is it a Luke I know or just another Luke?
no, it's not. I don't know. It's Luke Waddell.
I know that Luke,
Y'all go way back.
Do you?
which is also one of my favorite TV shows. I know that Luke.
Let's get started, Roy. Press the button.
All right.
All right, fine. Here we go. Number 30 for me is a crossover with Mike, at least, and I think the people too. And that
me.
is, it's on my list for 4 years straight, and it is Near and Far. Now, I'm very curious how I'll feel about this marvelous storytelling game from Ryan Lunkett after playing Sleeping Gods and the sequel to Near and Far, which is, what's that called again? Above and Beyond?
No. Is it Now or Never?
Now or
In-N-Out
Never?
Burger.
Up and down?
In and Out will be a sponsored sequel. That would be amazing. Okay, I'm kind of confused though. Isn't Sleeping Gods technically a follow-up to Near and Far?
No, it's in the same universe. There is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
literal sequel. It's the one we have a promo for in our Kickstarter. That's an
Okay.
actual sequel to Near and Far.
Which
It's
is called
supposed to come
Now-
out
Now
later
or
this
Never.
year, and it's not even being Kickstarted. I think that one's going direct to retail. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so yes, the sequel to Near and Far is Wherever You Are. Anyhow, yeah, it's now or never, isn't it?
Right.
Now
I
or
believe
never.
it is now or never.
Now or never, yes.
Isn't that what I said earlier?
You said above and beyond, I think.
Yeah.
To infinity and beyond.
Bad Bath and the expansion.
I was going to say Bed Bath. All right. Anywho, thank you. What do I even? Near and far. My number
I'm
30.
surprised this is higher on your list than mine, Tom. That's
I really
not
like
arguing.
this. When
yeah.
it first came out, I was always wanting people to play it. I took it with us.
Yeah.
I dragged it to the UK in the suitcase, which is not something I do again because it's pretty heavy to take around.
It is heavy, yeah.
And I went around and played it with everybody I could.
It's awesome.
This is one that's not on my list, but I really haven't played it that much. So I have a copy. I just got to play it more.
Could have been a 5-way, Z. Could have been.
I know. I messed up.
All right, for my number 30, I have a decent amount of real-time games on my list, but this is one that is cooperative that just lets you blow away tons and tons of aliens, and this is Project Elite. This is a real-time game where you're working together in real time, moving your characters, rolling dice fast as you can. It basically gives me the feeling of playing Escape, Curse of the Temple, but you're attacking aliens, and you're working together at the same time, and it's a lot of fun. You do take pauses and breathers in between, but as you do that, more aliens come out and more bosses come out, and then you have to work together to try to figure out how to take them out and be able to survive all the waves of monsters without them getting and taking over your base. That is Project Elite. Maybe we'll see it higher on somebody else's list. Who knows?
This is new to your list, right?
I played it with you for the first time this year, so I've only played the CMON version of it, and I really enjoyed it. And I don't actually own a copy of this, but I really need to get a hold of one. So
I gotta say, I'm always a little bit warmed whenever I hear Z and not Z, he never says it, but Roy and Mike say, "I played this with Tom, and now it's on my top 100." And I feel like it's not the game. It's a nice feeling.
It's probably.
I mean, did you
game,
design Project Elite? No.
You don't know that.
I've probably said that about plenty of games, Tom. Come on.
You often say I played this with Tom, and I hated it. Is what I hear.
No, I think what you mean to say is I played this with Tom, and despite the company in which it was presented to me, the game is rock solid.
All right.
Oh, look at the crying emoji.
My
Does that show up on Cam? Does that
No,
work?
no.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Well,
does.
no, it
I
doesn't
did.
show
We
up
saw it.
on the screen.
Oh, what a waste of an emoji.
Tom
All right,
just
go ahead.
cried virtually, everybody, just so you know. My number 30 is a crossover with Roy Cannaday, and it's really funny because something he said about it is very true of me as well. And Tom as well? Oh, okay. I've never won Rising Sun. It rhymes. I like Rising Sun quite a bit. I'm not good at it. I believe I've gotten second place a time or two, but this is a big kind of troops on a map, area control, but it has a really clever combat system that I know you've talked about. I don't want to, repeat the same thing, but I really like the combat system like you do, Roy and Tom. I like that you know where the battles are going to be. I think that's kind of a neat thing too. So you can kind of say, all right, I'm clearly not going to win this one. I'm going to save my resources and see if I can make it happen in this next one. I think that's kind of a cool little mechanic. It's a game that I think has a lot of depth. It's a game that can be played many, many times, and you kind of find new nuances. And I feel like I learn something new every time I play it. Not enough to win, apparently, but enough to find out some kind of new little nook and cranny in the design. So Rising Sun is a game that I really have a lot of respect for as a design.
I got to tell you, we need to all play this together because I have definitely never won this game either.
So if we all
Wow,
play,
okay.
one of us has to win, right?
Someone's got to win.
Right.
won.
You are
Tom will
the
just win
only
and
one
continue
I
to win,
know
and we'll
has
just all be
won,
losers.
but I am certifiably terrible at this game.
Yeah, me too.
I
I'm really good at the
every time you
combat.
do a
I'm
new-
just
every time-
not good at the rest of it.
All right, so the three of you get together. You play a three-player game. One of you
Yes.
wins. The other two feel even worse because they now lost against someone who's only ever lost before.
Yes,
Those
right.
two then play another two-player game. One of them wins. Now we're down to one just major loser. What does that person do to ensure a victory?
They set
Solo.
Rising Sun on fire.
All right, fine. That escalated.
I'd burn my
a bit.
copy for it. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't know they came out with a Rising Sun second edition that would warrant such behavior of the first edition. All right, my number 30 is a two-player game. Maybe you guys can play that one. And I love how I say you guys like I'm going to win. I'm not going to win. Nagaraja is my number 30. This is a game that's got a little bit of everything, and I like that sort of soup mentality of this one. It's tile laying. It is card play with special abilities on the cards. You also pay up the cards to give you a pool of dice, and then you roll those dice. The dice have two kinds of symbols that show up on them. Strength, just brute strength. If you have more strength, you're the one who takes the tile that's in the middle of the table, put it in your little it's a temple. You're exploring a temple. But then the other kind of symbol that shows up on the dice are the ones you spend to play cards. And they benefit you, more strength, draw more cards, what have you, turn some tiles around, or just mess with your opponent. It is fun. It is quick. It's a beautiful game as well, very nicely illustrated. And I just like throwing this one down and getting right into it. It's a little. It doesn't feel like a meal. It's not a heavy game. It sort of feels like a fun little, romp through a dungeon-esque kind of game. But I've always had a great time with it. Clearly, it's very high in my list, and I love it. Number 30, Nagaraja.
Tom had an
Angelo
interesting
says-
reaction when you said meal. Oh, you were just reading something. Okay, gotcha. What
Angelo
were you
says he
saying?
loves Z and Mike together on this, and they rock callbacks. As a starving comedian, I respect that.
Oh. Well, thank you. Angelo, right? Thank you.
Angelos. All right,
Oh, I know.
number 30 for the people is a game that when I first saw it and played it, I thought, cool co-op game, but there's no way that it's going to really make waves. It's just too complex, and yet it is like the most critically acclaimed cooperative game I know, and that's Spirit Island. Spirit Island just keeps, everyone talks about it. It's people like the theme of it. I find it to be an interesting, fun game. Although, funnily enough, you would think this is one of those games where in the review, Z said, yeah, it's all right. And I said, yeah, it's pretty good. And you would have thought we had burned it on camera. With the comments that we still get, people are like, oh, they hated it. No, there was none of that at all. But it's an interesting thing because fans of Spirit Island love Spirit Island.
It's an interesting one for sure. You're right. And it's not one that not that I would have any insight into this, but I would have, if pressed for an answer, said, yeah, I don't think this is going to be a big hit. I just don't think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards this. Boy, was I wrong, because you're right. People love Spirit Island. It is ranked way higher than I thought it ever would be on BGG. And, it's on this list at 30, so that's amazing to me.
Yeah. Really, that's the People's Choice 30, Spirit Island. Once again, I feel like I have to keep telling people number placement doesn't matter that much, but this is the first of the games from my last year's top 10 that has fallen out a bit, but it's still 29. That's still very high. And I like this game. I believe it's already been on Roy's list, and that is Scythe. Or it's been on Mike's list, or maybe Roy. I don't know.
Definitely
Mike
hasn't been on
likes
Mike's list yet.
It's Stegmeyer, so that just automatically puts it on Mike's list. But
It used to be Mike's number 1. I don't know if it is this year or not.
We'll
Interesting.
see.
Oh, really? All right. Anyhow, I really like this game because the action selection thing is my favorite part, by far. You pick an action, you get to take that action, and as the game goes by, that action constantly gets both cheaper and better. Mm-hmm. That's a cool concept. And Rise of Fenris, 100% best expansion I've ever played. But I'm kind of done playing through it, so I'll never play it again with anyone else in the studio.
I'm never going to get to play the Rise of Fenris.
No, here's the thing, Roy. I would play it with you, but I wouldn't play through the campaign again.
Right.
I feel like I'm done with that. But if you don't play through the campaign, it's kind of like, here's the expansion. Blah, you know?
You think I can't handle it? Okay.
No, I don't. Not that I don't think you can handle it. I think the fun of going through the campaign, though, was amazing.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
I don't want to
You'd be
deprive you of
missing out.
that.
So you would definitely not recommend somebody buy it and just kind of like open it all and just be like, whatever, I'm just throwing this in.
No, I don't. I would not. I would recommend playing through it a bit at a time because what it does is introduce a lot of modules, and then when you play side, you can kind of say, I'll play with this module, I'll play without this one. But I think you should try them all at least once.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the Fenris campaign is only, 8-10 games? It's not a long campaign.
I want to say it's 8. Yeah, 8 sounds right.
Yeah.
So it's not too long. And it made the experience of me doing it was really entertaining.
It was great.
You know?
It's great.
Now you want to have a large player count for this, I assume.
No, I played through it with 3 people. I was very happy with that.
It's funny. I played through it with 3 as well. Yeah.
That's a large player count.
You know what? You call that a camera one more time.
What? That escalated very quickly.
That was very strange. All right, my 29 is a pirate-themed game. Just came out last year, and this is a game with amazing voice acting. This is Forgotten Waters. This is a game that you can play as a pirate crew, and you're trying to figure out how to keep your ship afloat with all the cargo and things you need, but you're playing through this story, and it's all about the story and the adventures you uncover. You're all trying to go to different spaces on a storybook thing that you're opening up, but the story isn't in the book itself. It's all done through an app, and it has beautiful pirate-themed narration. I cannot wait to see more games that have this style of like immersion and theme pushed into it with this amazing voice acting that they have in this game. But I've really enjoyed it, and it's been a lot of fun playing, and I can't wait to even play it more, and that is Forgotten Waters, my number 29, the definitive pirate game. I'm going to say it.
Ooh, I need to play this one more, Roy, because, boy, I enjoyed my initial kind of experience with it, but I haven't played it enough. I couldn't put it on my list without feeling like I've played enough of it, but man, yeah, you're making me want to play it again.
That's weird. I got games on my list I just looked at.
Well, we know this, Tom, but I'm trying to bring up the level of critical thinking here. Hey, you notice that I was conspicuously silent during the People's Choice number 30, Spirit Island?
Nobody's listening to you, so no.
I have you on mute, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, man. So what?
Hey, you notice how I was conspicuously silent during the number 30's People's Choice?
Yeah.
I noticed,
choice
Mike.
Of Spirit Island. That's because it's my number 29 choice.
Oh, I never
You are
seen
the
that
voice
coming.
of the people.
Did we suck the wind out of that one yet or not? I've tried.
See, I would have. Maybe I would have been if Tom hadn't allowed Bob to vote. So the Spirit Island is, as Tom said, it's a well, you may not have said it, but I'll say it. It's kind of a unique take on a cooperative game in that it kind of throws some tropes on its head where you're basically playing as these asymmetrical spirits that are trying to kind of work in tandem with the indigenous people of this island that are fighting off against people that are trying to take their land from them. It is a very complex, in my mind anyway, I'll speak for myself, a complex cooperative game. Some of the spirits are more complex than others, but there's this really cool feeling of synergy when you have 2 spirits that each have very different strengths and weaknesses, 2 or 3 or 4, and you're trying to coordinate. It really basically removes the alpha gamer situation you sometimes have in cooperative games where one person is basically telling everyone how to play the game. You really can't do that in Spirit Island because you've got so much with your own spirit that you have to kind of negotiate and navigate. I like they have this idea of fast powers and slow powers where some of your powers are going to trigger before the bad stuff happens and then others are going to trigger after the bad stuff happens. I think a really unique game. I do feel like, Tom, you're right in that maybe it has a very passionate fan base, and I think that's what's kept it high, is that people that like Spirit Island a lot and get everything they can for it. More spirits, more stuff. Anything you can give me, I'll take it. I'm not quite to that point, but I really like Spirit Island a lot, mostly as a solo game, but I have played it multiplayer as well, cooperative, and it's a really good experience.
Do you run multiple spirits when you play solo?
Personally, what I do, no, because I'm not very intelligent. I have done it, and the thing you miss when you run just one spirit as a solo player is you miss exactly what I was talking about, which is synergizing powers, right? And so to get the full experience, it's probably best to run at least 2 spirits solo, but you don't have to.
The solo rules are for you to run one. It's not one of those where you have to do multiples.
Absolutely not. It scales from 1 to 4.
Yeah, my issue at the end of the day was what you said earlier. It's just really complicated. I don't, It is a complex game. It's a thinking man's game, and I just can't keep up.
Yeah, it's tough.
All right, my number 29. I've got one more, guys. This is the final flip and right game on the list. My favorite. One of the newer ones also. This came out 2019, I want to say. Maybe 2018, one of those two. This is Trails of Tucana from the fantastic folks over at Aporta Games. And I'm telling you, that company just does not get enough love. They've knocked some games out of the park. And this is another one. It's a small, unassuming little box. It is sort of a spiritual sequel or follow-up on their... the Avenue game I talked about, Kokoro Avenue of the Kodama. It's sort of similar to that as well. This one uses hexes. You are flipping over cards, 2 cards that have different terrains on them. And then you need to draw a connecting line between 2 hexes on your little player board, your little piece of paper, that represents those 2. So say, desert and a forest. Well, find a desert and a forest somewhere that are adjacent to each other, connect them. And as you are doing this, you are building paths on your board. That's the core of the game. That's it. But it's so flexible. It's so interesting. I love the scoring also. If you achieve something early, you can score it during the interim scoring and then again at the end. So what do you do? Do you go for the big targets?
Yes.
Do you go for the little ones and then maybe score them twice? Yes? All of it? Just do it all? That works too. I really enjoy this one. It's a nice little flip and right game. It's fun. Hey, I've always had a good time with it. Fun teach also. It's easy to teach and enjoyable. So Trails of Tucana, my 29.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dreadful, for asking if someone asked if I was right, because maybe that happened. 29 for the People is a game that I'm not surprised is on the list. It's the second year. It was 35 last year. I'm surprised it's this low for the People, considering if you think Spirit Island has a rabid fan base, this one has the most rabid one I know of, and that's Root. People love Root. You know how I talked about how Brass Birmingham last time Birmingham was played almost every time I went to the game store? Root far surpassed that to the point where I saw 2 games of it. People get in there. I mean, everyone was backing in, getting everything. And that's one location. Every con I've been to the last 2 years, people are playing Root all over the place. Roy talks about Root. Mike's talking about Root. The app came out amazing. So I just saw, I think the app just released a winter map.
Yeah,
which is literally a different background. And I'm going to buy it.
Why?
Because winter is coming.
Wintersy.
I don't know. It just looks cool.
Technically, where we are, Roy, winter is here.
Winter
It's
never
never
comes
winter here. It's never winter.
I gotta check this game out, and I am really kind of intimidated, I'll be honest, to try out the board game, but I might have to just get this app.
Put it on the list.
Yeah, it's great.
No, don't
the
put it
app
on the
is
list.
really
I'm going to
good
play the app without you people. I mean, I want to play by myself.
Actually, that would be a really good way for you to play it on the app.
is.
And then come in and we'll be like, we're going to be just like those players you played against on the app. Okay. That's People's number 29, Root. All right, this one's new to my list, and Roy just stole my thunder, but I like it better than Roy, and that's Forgotten Waters.
Wow.
I tried.
So Forgotten Waters, another thing Forgotten Waters did is it actually knocked off Tales of Arabian Nights for me.
I can see that.
Finally, I suddenly like this game just for that.
No, but Forbidden Waters has really cohesive stories that still manage to have random events that happen in them. But the whole story overall is unique and interesting. Great art, amazing voice acting, except for there's this one sailor who might show up once in a while, really annoying guy. But
I still need to know. If anybody finds any numbers where you hear me talk, message me. I need to hear it.
I like how you automatically
You're
assume
in
that was
this?
you.
Wait. Roy is in this game?
I think he recorded.
They
Invalid.
told me I was. I've never heard it, so I don't know that's actually true. I
Did you
recorded
go
stuff on a
for,
microphone
like
once,
a
though.
recording session, or
They flew him to Hollywood, and
I was in my closet, and I pressed the record button.
it's not as glamorous.
no. Anyhow, I really like the game. I like the worker placement aspect of the game. I think it's really well done. I like the way that they have you pick the worker placement. It does a good job at keeping people from being alpha gamers. But overall, I just like the story. I love seeing what happens.
It's co-op, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it's very entertaining, very interesting. Different things can happen. So my number 28, Forgotten Waters.
I don't know what it is about this game. I just did not. I mean, I didn't check it out when it first sort of arrived, and I do not like that cover. It's just not captivating to me at all. I don't know what it is. Every time I look at that cover, I'm like, not interested.
The game's great.
And it might be, but you know how sometimes you got to get in the door if you want to be inside, and that door is keeping me out. It is not an attractive cover, in my opinion.
Well, my 28 is the highest rated legacy game on my list, and that is Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated. I think it was on my list last year, but I really enjoy Clank as a whole. I actually kind of want to combine this a little bit with Clank, just as the system, but I enjoy Clank Legacy even better than Clank as it is. Clank Legacy takes the Clank system and adds all sorts of story and flair and things to discover and card packs to unlock and lots of things you're adding to your deck and things are changing up as the story goes along. And it has the Penny Arcade theme and system on it, but it also just takes all of that and just adds tons and tons of story to it. And I just have enjoyed Clank a lot. I enjoy deck builders, and I think Dire Wolf does a great job with like their deck building games. And I feel like the system is just so good in Clank, and adding all that story on top of it makes the game amazing. So that's why 28 is Clank Legacy for me.
Roy, if they did Clank Legacy Season 2, is that an auto buy?
It's definitely an auto play. Hopefully I can play it with you. But yeah, auto buy. If you were gonna buy it.
No, that's not why you say that. He wants me to do the auto buy.
I'm hoping. Yeah.
Okay, so what about this idea, Roy? Clank in Space Legacy.
That doesn't.
He'll die.
He'll
That,
die.
for some reason,
he will
I don't
literally
like.
die. I mean, like the kids today say, "OMG, I'm dead."
I
There you
like
go, I'm
regular Clank much more than Clank in Space. I don't know why.
Who
For some
are
reason,
you?
the whole like crawling
Guys,
down in a dungeon and getting
alien.
the treasure is more appealing to me than crawling through a spaceship. I guess maybe because it's like wacky space, and I enjoy more like scientific space. I don't know.
Excuse me.
Bring your wacky space in here with your Galaxy Trucker. That's
I guess
science.
you're right. Galaxy Trucker definitely is wacky
hard
space.
science. Yeah, Galaxy Trucker. Yeah.
All right. My number 28 has been mentioned before by Roy Canada, I believe, at least. Maybe the people. This is a social deduction game, and I don't tend to like those very much, but this one I feel like is the best. Deception. Murder in Hong Kong. Z had it too. Man, I love this game. I absolutely love this game. I've played it because it's so fast. I've probably played it 40, 50 times. You ask me to play it, I'll always say yes because it's just I've never had a bad that's it. I've never had a bad session of it. I've played what?
I'm gonna put that says you're walking out the door to go home. I'll be like, Mike, do you want to play Deception? I'm in a hurry. I gotta meet my wife. Mike, Deception.
That's true. If I'm hungry, what's gonna win? My hunger or my desire to play Deception Murder? I don't know, Tom. That's
This
a
hasn't
tough
been
one.
on my list yet.
Oh, okay. So maybe
Ominous.
it's not a crossover with Roy. Anyway, it's a really, really good game. Whoever, I think Z talked about it already, so I won't belabor it, but I just like the idea of everything in front of you could potentially be explained away and you could redirect to somebody else. Just like Z said, that's my favorite part of the game. It's like, oh, okay, so it's a blunt object. We know it's a blunt object, and I've got this brick in front of me, but you've got a hammer. That's just as blunt as this brick. And besides, you look guiltier than me. All this kind of silly stuff. It's just really, really fun. It allows for very free form but fun discussion. I love Deception Murder in Hong Kong. It's, to me, if I'm going to play a game like this is the one I want to play every time.
It's a good one. All right, my number 28 is a game that
Did we lose audio for Z?
can you
I hear
guys
him.
I hear him.
Lose audio for everybody.
Hello, yes,
Oh,
I'm
my
good.
headphones on.
Can you hear us?
Bum,
It
bum,
might be
bum,
Roy's
bum.
headphones.
Oh, Roy can't hear any of us.
Yeah, the people hear us.
Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. I don't know why
Can
that
you
song would be the one
hear
that.
us?
I don't
We're
know.
gonna get tagged for. Okay. Are we?
No, we're not gonna get no.
Not from my singing.
Roy, okay, bye, bye.
Roy?
It wasn't that egregious of a pick, my number 28.
I still haven't revealed it. I don't know why the audio on my headphones just died.
Okay,
But
so
it's
it's just
back
on
now.
your end. The people hear
Cool.
us. Okay.
Fine.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
the
can
people
tell
can
people
hear
can hear
you
you
the
because I
whole
can see the
time?
bar
No.
jumping. But I didn't know when to do it. Hey, did you say the name of your pick yet, Z?
Yeah, it's a
No.
great game.
Too busy
Guys,
cursing.
come on. I could have run with this.
Can I show the
My number
picture,
28
though?
is Subterra.
Okay.
Subterra is a co-op game, an exploration game. Remember, I mentioned I love those, and there's not enough. You don't know what's around the next corner. You flip over a tile for that. All the characters are working together, trying to escape this cavern. And there are, cave-ins down there, and creepy crawlies in the darkness, and tremors, all sorts of stuff. I like it quite a bit. It's a game with a nice amount of tension. The look leaves a little something to be desired. My printing of it apparently also happens to be an earlier printing, and they have a newer edition of it in which the tiles are not as dark. Everything's just kind of like, printed a little too dark. So that'd be nice to get a cleaner looking version of this. But as it is, I really have a great time with this game. Co-op with other people. Solitaire. Running a few characters. No problem. It's just a nail biter. It's engaging. Kind of cinematic in many ways. I always have a good time with it. Subterra, 28 for me. I don't know if you guys have played this.
No.
But
I'm
it's a
not.
good one. I like it anyway. I don't think it's necessarily a particularly popular game, but I mean the Kickstarter for the sequel did really well, so there is that.
did.
Maybe it is more popular than I think.
All right. Number 28 for the people is another palindrome. It was 82 last year. That's a big jump.
That's a huge jump.
It is a huge jump, but this game is very popular now, and that is Space Base. I believe
That's
already on
Not a
Roy's
valid
list.
throw.
Yeah, 28 and 82 are never mind.
Oh, I thought you meant the title of the game.
No, that would be if what
Number
what game would be
28 is Madam, I'm Adam.
a plan, a canal, Panama. Anyhow, yeah, Space Base does really well. It's a game I see constantly being played. It's one of my games that I would use at this point as a welcoming game. You're new to the hobby, I'll teach you Space Base. And I'm also
you like my term welcoming games, don't you?
no. I told the guys
He
I'm
does.
we're gonna try to bring that in. Replace the word gateway with welcoming.
Yep.
It's gonna happen. We'll
Like
do it.
I like this.
So,
Touched.
but not only that though, Space Base is the kind of game that I can use as a welcoming game to people, but also I enjoy playing it as opposed to some other games where I'm like, yeah, I'm getting a little tired of this. So,
Mm-hmm.
Space Base People's 28. All right, my number 27, second year. It was 61 last year, so it's moved up for me. And this is Glenmore 2. Glenmore, this is one of those games that I feel a little bad that people was telling me for years to play, and I never got around to it. Finally played the new version, and it just really sat well with me. It is all about that one central mechanism. How far do you want to go? But then you take the tile you get, you stick it in a little Carcassonne. I like that. Build your little, Glenmore area in front of you. A few other things, and if you ever get bored, there's lots of modules in that box. So, a lot of game, a lot of fun. Glenmore 2, my number 27. as a Eurogame hater, obviously.
I have this one and haven't played it yet, but it's definitely to be played. Looking forward to that.
Put it on the list.
Yes.
You'll like this one, Mike. This is good
That's true.
stuff.
You guys can teach me. I can save myself the rule book. Yeah.
It's a pretty easy game too to internalize. Yeah, I think we all like that mechanism, don't we?
I love it.
The jump ahead as far as you want mechanism. Do you like that, Roy, too?
I've played several games with it. I need to explore it more, I guess, before I determine. I'm sure this is the game that'll make me love it.
That's a no.
What's
So
that,
what?
Tom?
Auto like a game, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those things where
Yeah.
if that's in it, I'm like, I'm there. My ears have perked up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my 27 isn't going to get me any higher on the poll that we have on YouTube because I don't think anybody else plays this game at all besides me, and that's probably why it is now defunct. But I really enjoy miniatures game, and my 27 is Rune Wars, the miniatures game. I have an amazingly huge amount of this game. Mike and Chris have both been over to my house and seen that I just have like a 5x5 Calyx shelf where the entire top of it is just slap full of miniatures. And this picture is actually a picture of my old game table just slap full of Rune Wars miniatures. The thing I love about this game is that basically
It's
at the
cheap.
beginning of each round, you set dials and there's like a speed determination on all these dials that you set, and you're trying to figure out how to attack your opponent and take them out in different areas, but you're trying to figure out which speed you're going to do that at. And at the end of and during each round, it's like, are there any ones? All the ones unit move. And then are there twos? Twos go. Threes go. And you're trying to figure out how to, like, do you want to charge them and try to get them before they get you? Or maybe they're going to wait and do an attack that's going to be even stronger. And there's this whole back and forth of trying to figure out where your opponent's going to be. And there's mind games. Normally, in most miniatures games, you don't have this weird, like social mind games thing you're doing with the other players while you're playing it. And I just really enjoy all of the special abilities. This is like battle lore with like tons and tons and tons of stuff extra thrown in there as you're running around the board blasting each other away. And I really enjoy the Rune Wars miniatures game, even though none of you have played it, none of you have heard about it, and if you want to get some of it,
I mean, none of us have
extremely
heard
on
about
clearance
it.
right
We're not
now.
that out of the picture. We've heard of
I'm
it.
talking about chat. They don't know what this game is.
What's up?
But yeah, this stuff is like clearance to high heaven right now, so it's super cheap. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun to play if you actually sit down and play the game. Rune Wars, my 27.
You know why I didn't play this, Roy, and why I won't play it probably is because it's a straight up miniatures game. And that's
Yeah,
just
it
one of
definitely is
those
a miniatures game.
facets of the hobby that I'm just not really doing right now, just to save time. So, I mean, it looked cool enough, but I also suspect that Fantasy Flight would not continue to support it, and they dropped it faster than I thought they would.
Yeah, I mean, there in my local area, there was a game store that ran tournaments after tournaments of this, but I think they were the only ones, like the only people doing that sort of stuff with this game. I just really enjoy the mechanics of this game, and that's why I was like, do I want to put a miniatures game on my list? Do I not? But I just love the way this game plays, so I had to put it on there.
Bro, you do you.
Yeah, man.
I will.
Your
do me.
27. Your 27 was a game you say that no one plays. Well, I see your Rune Wars, and I raise you a Masmora Dungeons of Arcadia. Which is more obscure? I don't know.
Roy's has had critical praise, and I've heard it's decent. So,
Tom, your words cannot harm me. I love me some Masmora. This is a dungeon crawl game that's based in the world of Arcadia Quest. At least it was rethemed into that. I think originally it was not. I think it was just a generic dungeon, but they rethemed it into the world of Arcadia Quest. It's one of those things that has what Tom and Z love so much, which is that you can either play it competitively or cooperatively. They really love that. And so I have to say...
I said that to move as far as you want makes me automatically like a game.
Right.
What you just said automatically makes me dislike it.
And I get that. And I will say this as a caveat, this would not be on my top 100 if it was just the competitive game. I play Masmora almost exclusively as a cooperative dungeon crawl game. And at that, I like it a lot because it does not have a lot of rules overhead. It's a very simple game. I really like it doesn't take itself seriously. You know, a lot of times dungeon crawls have this kind of grim feel, and this is not that. This is basically, imagine Arcadia Quest as a dungeon crawl, and that's what you got. I really do enjoy it. I've played it over and over and over again. I still find myself looking at it on the shelf and going, yeah, I think I want to play some Masmorra. Even if I'm maybe one of 3 people out there that play it, doesn't matter. I really like Masmorra Dungeons of Arcadia.
I really like the monster dice in this game. That was one of my favorite
I do
parts
too.
about it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know
and
Tom
Tom
was
doesn't
like,
like
I'd rather
that.
have miniatures, but it was just cool to pull dice out of a bag and roll a random
hate
monster.
The monster.
Yeah, I thought it
dice.
was-
I really
thought it
just
was
like
great.
that. If I want
It's
to
so
play
crazy
dice,
that you
I
hate
would play
those,
a
but you
normal game.
you like things like Dice Masters and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah, but
crazy
Dice
to me.
Masters, everything's a die. I'm not taking a miniature and going up and fighting a die.
It's fun.
To me,
I like
Okay, I kind of
think
get
this is
that, Tom. I think I understand where you're coming from.
It's a great way to do
okay.
random encounters.
The thing is, though, we talk about, okay, we've got 6 boxes full of minis for these monsters, right? And I have to go and I have to look through, okay, which one is the kobold? Okay, let me, no, here you
Right.
can have tons of monsters, but it's not going to take up 6 boxes and take you 15 minutes to find it in your,
that
I think
makes
it's a
sense.
smart way.
But I still don't
Yeah.
like it.
That's a solid argument too.
Each
I'm
die
scoring
could
it
be
right
6
now,
different
1
monsters.
to 1. 1 to 1 is what I'm
Oh,
scoring.
well, the game's out of print. No one plays it.
A
Is it out of
win
print?
for Vassal. No.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's out of print or not, actually. I'm not
Well,
sure
it's
it
definitely
is.
out of print. I don't know if it's. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's sold
I
out.
don't
Might
know.
be easy to find, right?
Right.
All right, well, speaking of fantastic miniatures, King of Tokyo is my number 27.
Wow.
And get on that, Yellow. Put out some minis for this. King of Tokyo is a fantastic Yahtzee-style game. I have liked this I remember from the announcement of the game. I was intrigued. I loved the idea of big old giant monsters smacking each other. And it was a dice game, cool, a fairly straightforward game. The reports started to come out that it was fun and sort of bombastic. Okay. And ever since I played it, I've had a great time with this one. I thought the power-up stuff, where each monster becomes even more unique, was a great expansion. There's so much content for this now out there. But yeah, I think most of it enhances it, gives you more to mess with, enhances the theme, the fun in the box. Another one of those that, to me, at the end of the day, seems like it prioritizes fun. Everything else around the package is designed to enhance that first and foremost. And if you play to win for points, then Mr. Tom Vassal will disown you. You must murder the other monster.
No. I won't disown you. I just scorn you a little, but I mean, it don't matter.
Scorn, disown.
I'm
You
still
say
making that
potato.
prediction.
I
My
say
prediction, they're going to
tomato.
announce a 10th anniversary edition with miniatures.
Ooh.
You what?
You're saying yes, that's in the cards?
If they don't, then that just seems
I don't
obtuse.
think they will. I mean, I just don't think they will. They just had that dark edition.
All right.
I don't know.
Pat's Ghost said boo, but I'm not sure what, and it was around when Mike was talking, so I'm just going to assume that's what
What
it
do you
He's a
expect a
ghost.
ghost to
It's-
say?
It's a ghost. That's affirmation. That's what ghosts say when they agree with you.
Oh, good point. All right. The People's Choice, number 27, 4th year on the list, 4th year in the 20s, and that's Clank. I hear there's a lot of like trash talking about Clank these days. People are like, it's not that good of a game. People don't really like it. Definitely,
Wrong.
people enjoy it.
I'm
Definitely
not
play
hearing
them.
that.
I got my
Clank's
ear to
solid,
the
man.
ground, to the dirty, dirty ground.
Well, sure.
Okay. All right, sweet.
But Clank, the idea of deck building had been getting tired, and Clank took it, added a very simple board mechanism, and people were all back in again. And this one has consistent support, constantly making expansions, not just the legacy version, but they have a lot of expansions for the base game too, if you get bored with that. So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Clank.
Solid.
All right, 26 was 13 for me last year, but I still really like this. Again, another straight-up Euro game that, is it Mike who doesn't like this one? I don't remember. That's Lorenzo Il Magnifico.
It's me. It doesn't work for me. Good game. I don't like it.
All right, it's a good game, and I like it. Um, uh, it does feel like when I look over it, like it's everything I don't like. The boring theme to me. It's a lot of. It can actually be fairly punishing if you're not.
Oh,
careful.
you think?
Well, some of us are better than others, apparently.
This is why I don't like this game, man. Punches you in the face every turn. I'm a little bitter about this one.
No, man, I'm telling you, after I learned how to duck and weave a bit, the punches miss, and you can do well in this game. And also, the expansion for it is marvelous. Really like this game, Lorenzo Il Magnifico. And yes, I see Chris also does not like it. So apparently, the movement has begun. Z will never touch the game. Oh wait, that was BM. He might like it now.
Yeah, it was BM for sure. This game it's definitely BM. I think it's because your ear is to the dirty ground, Tom. I think that's why you're not getting hit with these punches or something. Yeah, it's a fine game. Mechanically, I can understand the appeal. It was one of those games that felt like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Oh no, I'm not gonna do. I'm one resource short. Maybe I'll do. No, not doing that either. Well, I guess no, I'm not doing that either. All right, I'm out. The whole game felt like that to me.
Well, I really like Lorenzo Il Magnifico.
A little bitter.
My 26 is an amazing like head-to-head game where you can be all sorts of characters from literature and soon to be characters from the Marvel Universe. This is Unmatched. I have the Battle of Legends Volume 1 on here, but this is the whole Unmatched system. I mean, I really enjoy the Cobble and Fog expansion. I really enjoy a bunch of the little sets that I've played as well. This is a great game where you have this combat that are based off these card decks. The characters play all extremely differently, and you're maneuvering and gaining cards to your hand and then playing cards out, trying to like bluff your opponent. Maybe this is a strong attack and you should waste a strong defense on it. Maybe it's not, and you're trying to figure out how to utilize the special ability of the particular character you're playing. All the characters play extremely different. There's lots of different maps you can play on that are normally double-sided. They give you lots of different ways to play and move around the game, and I really enjoy the line of sight system in this game because it's super simple, easy to understand, a quick playing game, Unmatched Battle of Legends. I love this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another game because this was based off of basically Epic Duels and then a little bit of Tannhauser I'm trying to think of another game that's kind of built off of another one that's become as popular as this. Can you think of anything like that offhand?
Well, yeah, Downforce.
Right. I mean, this is what Restoration does.
Restoration
Well,
games.
I suppose that's true. But yeah, okay, that's fair.
Android Netrunner.
All right.
And I don't see this game slowing down anytime soon. So if you haven't tried out Unmatched, there's lots of different sets. Pick up any of the 4-player sets that are out there. It's really enjoyable and really easy and simple to play and teach. So Unmatched is awesome.
I think it's reached critical mass in the sense of even if Restoration Games stops and doesn't do anything else, there's enough out there now where if let's say I introduce it to someone that like, is there more? I'd be like, yeah, there is more. There's enough for you to really enjoy this game.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to see. I'm excited
ahead.
to see how high the person that was being super quiet is going to be on their list because I know it's going to be there.
Shut up.
I'm waiting for the ultimate inception of when they finally get the Star Wars license.
Ooh,
Unmatched.
that would be crazy.
You know,
Wow.
that's I don't know. I could see that happening, and then it's come full circle.
Yeah. It's a real versatile system. You're a good choice. My number 26, I didn't do this on purpose. It just worked out this way. I'm going to stay in Arcadia. I'm going from the dungeons of Arcadia, and I'm just going right to the world of Arcadia. It's Arcadia Quest is my number 26. And this is a game that there's so much stuff for it. It's just hundreds of characters and expansions, but even just the base of Arcadia Quest, I think is just such a fun system. I love this kind of roll dice, punch each other in the face, go for this kind of goal. It's just such a silly. I think Z, you were talking about leaning into the fun. This game, I don't know how you could not have fun playing this game because it's just so silly. You've got these kind of ridiculous characters running around a dungeon, punching each other in the face, stealing, taking gold. It's just a really, really fun game. Fun.
How would you describe the game? Would you say it's
Is it fun or fun?
I think of it as fun. I think of it as fun. Yeah, no, the exploding dice. There's just so much about this game kind of brings up endorphins, right? It's just like everything about it is a positive reinforcement. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw these dice. You know,
yeah, yeah. That's true.
Now here, Mike, this game is amazing. It's no longer my top 100. It's an amazing game.
I figured it was coming up.
But how is it one better than Masmora? It's not even close. Even Roy, who had your back slightly there's no way that he would pick this over that. I don't think Roy's played Arcadia Quest, actually.
I mean, I had Starcadia Quest way down there.
Starcadia.
I enjoy it.
No, not Starcadia Quest, Arcadia Quest.
It's the same game, right?
Same game.
It's essentially the same game.
Arcadia in space.
Right. See, Tom, but you are trying to come at me with this when you just got through a few minutes ago talking about how numbers, you know what I mean? This is just how it worked through in the Pub Meeple thing. It's just the way it is.
I'm not talking about I get that. I'm just saying they're one apart. That means they're that close to the fact that you like Arcadia Quest. Wow. Maybe I just don't.
I play them for different reasons. Arcadia Quest is
for
strictly
fun.
No.
No, you just said it. You said fun. Fun.
But Arcadia Quest is when you're just kind of like, it's a very ultra competitive game, right? It's an ultra competitive game.
Yeah.
It's like the epitome of competitiveness. And I just told you, I only play Masmora as a cooperative game. So
you don't compete with yourself?
If I was putting Masmora on as a competitive game, like I said, it wouldn't even be on my list. But as a cooperative game, I really like Masmora. As a competitive game, I like Arcadia Quest. That's it.
Fair enough.
Get off my back, Tom.
I'm gonna put my ear on the street now. That's all I'm doing.
The dirty, dirty street. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, my number 26 is one of my my OG games. I've had this thing for ages. San Juan is my 26. I've sort of oscillated back and forth between San Juan and Race for the Galaxies for many years. I had San Juan earlier. Race for the Galaxy was the flashy new kid on the street there for a few years. I like space. I do more than San Juan's theme. But at the end of the day, I keep coming back to San Juan more because I can teach it. I can play it. It's a little faster. I don't know. The other one I don't think is on my list anymore. It's somewhere in it's 101, I believe.
Oh, good. You haven't used that yet. You're fine.
I'm good. San Juan is you pick characters, much like Puerto Rico. This is the Puerto Rico card game. Pick characters. They give you abilities. You draw more cards. You spend cards to play cards. Lovely system. And they themselves will give you new abilities. That's basically what's going on in the game. And I always have a good time with it. The edition I happen to own now is 2nd edition. I think it's what it's called. Which has a little expansion that came out at some point included right in there, and a few extra cards on top of that. If you haven't played this, I don't know if San Juan's hard to get right now. But this is one of those games I hope does not get forgotten by the fact that 3,000 games or whatever come out every year, because it deserves to have a place in gaming history, in my opinion. This was way before we expected X game, the card game, to happen. Way before that. This one set a precedent that way. So San Juan 26, it's a classic.
All right, the People's Choice 26 is another game that's been solidly in the 20s for the last 3 years. And you just got a thumbs up from Pax Ghost, Z. But anyhow,
thank you.
Boo. That's different than a boo. Anyway, did I mention the game yet? Have I said it? No. It's Champions of Midgard. Champions of Midgard. It's a real solid game, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit on the People's Choice 25, some more, but just one that people like a lot. I find it interesting, 25 and 26 combined. We'll come back to that. So right. Champions of Midgard, number 26. My number 25 has been on my list now for 8 years, and I think and I hope that next year it might go even higher because of the second edition. But if you ask me what's my definitive, well, Z calls them what, tentacles on a map, this would be
That was
Monsters
you. That
of-
was all you. I thought it was brilliant.
That was me.
No,
That
that
was
was
my-
then that was Roy. Then
Tell you what, this happens to me all the time, man. I tell you what.
So
no
Monsters in the
credit.
Stand, Kemet. Kemet, there's nothing I don't like about it. It is the only game that properly utilizes four-sided dice. Because you should not be rolling them. They're garbage to roll. And this turns them into pyramids. This has a tech tree, which you all know I love tech trees. It has huge monsters that you get to control and go around. And it does what I mentioned earlier in Nexus Ops. It forces you to attack your opponents. All of that combines in a game that I would honestly think would be in Roy's top 10. No joke. And that's how much I think Roy would like it.
Yeah, especially because the combat is so much the way he likes combat to be, too. I think he would adore this game.
Physical combat.
Physical.
All right, time for the next battle. I'll beat you outside, Z. Come back and I'm missing a tooth. Z won that one.
Let's do it. I've been
Oh,
preparing.
Good.
All right, my 25 is a game about crazy Gundam-sized samurai starships from Plaid Hat Games and designer Isaac Vega. I really enjoy this game. I don't really see this game getting a whole lot of love, but I really enjoy the action system of this game. You have a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4, and there are several different
Starship
actions you can
Samurai, you need to mention.
Yeah, he didn't say it, did he, right?
take. I did say Starship Samurai after saying
did not
samurais and
say.
starships and anyway. I really enjoy the way this game works and the mechanics of it. You get to choose. Do you want to move 2 ships, or do you want to draw 2 cards, or do you want to put two things on the board, like move up stuff? You're trying to basically influence all these different houses at the same time. So there's game back and forth of like controlling these different planets and areas, going in there and attacking your opponent's ships and other mechs, but then also being able to rise the influence of all these different like space houses in this crazy, it's a really quick playing game, but it's like themed in this like mech Gundam space opera type theme, and I really enjoy the way that it plays, and it's just a fun game. Starship Samurai.
Was this in your 40 last year, Roy?
Yeah. Let me see.
Would
Where
you
was
say
it
this
last
is
year?
an Opera Gundam style game?
Yeah, Opera Gundam style. Oh, it was 25 last year. Exactly the same number.
That's
I really
the
enjoyed
worst
this
joke
game.
of the
Come
whole
on.
top 100.
Opera
Come
game.
on! I feed on your hate of dad jokes.
I got a question from Mr. Dreffel. Do you like it with expansions? I'm assuming that was about Kemet, and the answer is yes-ish, but that would take too long to explain. So,
And they now have
Yeah,
clip-on
that
bases for this
Starship
game, so it's easy to tell
Samurai.
the mechs apart.
Starship Samurai game definitely does not.
I didn't know
get
that,
along.
Roy. I would have had Holly paint it faster. So, Holly just painted that one. Looks, I think, very good. I'm excited about it.
Nice.
I haven't played this one. All right. My number 25 is PAX Premier 2nd Edition. And it's not a... Yeah. It's not a game that lends itself well to quick explanation, so I'm not going to really try to explain it too much, other than it has a couple of central mechanics. It has a card market that you are buying from that card market. It's a really tight economy. Money is super tight, and it's closed economy. Money will never come in or go out of the system, and you're gaining these cards from the market, and you're putting it in a tableau in front of you. And at any given point in the game, you are allying with one of the 3 factions in the game, whether it's Britain, Russia, or Afghanistan. And those factions, that your alliance could change and oftentimes will change in the middle of a game, sometimes multiple times. It's a little bit tricky to teach. It's a little bit tricky to wrap your head around the scoring. It's pretty obtuse, but wow, this game is special. It does not feel like any other game I've played. And it's hard to say that. It really feels like it stands apart. It probably won't be for everybody because, like I said, it is a little obtuse. But if you like games where there's a lot of tension and where there might be shifting alliances with people that you're playing with, and you can maybe have this temporary alliance and then it can all blow up. If any of that sounds appealing to you, you like card play and tableau building, PAX Premier Second Edition is a really, really special game, and it's a gorgeous production on top of it all. A really good game.
All right.
I gotta play it.
Yeah.
My number 25 is Yamatai. Yamatai is, yes, another Bruno Catala game. This is one of the big ones, and it has all the fixins for a Euro-style game. Colors that you're lining up on the board, and characters that you can draft and pay for, and turn order shenanigans, all that stuff. It's a good mix. It comes together well for me. I really enjoy it. It's the money management in it is fun. Characters in this one, I really like the way the characters in this one work. When you throw money on them as they don't get bought. So when you finally take one, it comes with a little bit of cash as well, and that's fun. I like that type of mechanism in games. Just surrounding islands and building on them with these little ships. I like it a lot. Not a whole lot else I'm going to say about that one. It's if you like Euro-style games.
Huh?
This is a Days of Wonder game. You're
is.
I
right.
said it's a forgotten one. It got some
That was
buzz when it came out, and then got yeah.
That was going to be my question. Why do you think it is?
I don't think it feels like a Days of Wonder game. I assume that's why.
Okay.
Well, I think they had success with Five Tribes, right? And they said,
Yeah.
okay, people can handle a heavier game, but the fact is, Five Tribes was easy to play. And Yamatai is a little more complex, I think, and it's not as fulfilling, I think, maybe as Five Tribes. So they went back to their super simple games, and they said, what's the simplest game we can think of? And they got River. The River.
Yeah, the River and Deep Blue and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yamatai actually started its life as a Five Tribes sequel. That was the original theme. And then eventually it drifted away to the current theme. But anyway, yeah, I really like it. 25 for me.
Thank you to every free super chat. And the answer to your question is maybe. All right. The People's Choice 25 has been on there since almost the beginning. It's been as high as number 4. And it's a game nowadays that people scoff at. In fact, I think when Roy mentioned it, there was a lot of scoffing in chat about people like, I don't like this game anymore. And that's Lords of Waterdeep.
Mike mentioned it.
Yeah.
Mike mentioned it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's on my list.
And I mentioned this because I think it's interesting. It's right next to Champions of Midgard because the two games are compared a lot. In both of them, you are getting warriors, although in Champions of Midgard you roll dice, and Lords of Waterdeep you send them off on missions. But I like the Lords of Waterdeep. It didn't make my top 100, but I love that this exists because more people from Dungeons and Dragons have found out about great board games, and I'll still play this one.
Absolutely.
You know, the snootiness sometimes astounds me where people are like, wow, I wouldn't play that one. I'm like, why not? It's a good game. It's really fun. So, anyhow, that's People's Choice 25, Lords of Waterdeep.
Good choice.
All right, I came pretty close to lying earlier on this list. Or at least alluding. People were going a little nuts in the chat how Arcadia Quest had not made my top 100. And that's simply because my number 24 is Starcadia Quest.
Oh,
Crossover!
that's weak.
Fold you!
Weak. Weak.
I actually don't think they're the same game, but they're close enough that there's no way I would put both on the list. Starcadia Quest is an upgraded version of Arcadia Quest. You have 2 characters instead of 3, which I thought I wouldn't like. I liked having the 3 characters, but it worked really well. But the best part of Starcadia Quest is the plugging in monsters, where you can just pick. They'll say you can use a level whatever monster on this thing, and you just pick one. So I'm not stuck playing the exact same scenario all the time. Or you have these miniatures that you painted up, but they can only be used in one scenario. Batman. This one lets you mix and match, and I really like that aspect. Other than that, the same combat. This is one of the biggest take that games there is. You're just blowing the snot out of each other. Really, really fun. So Starcadia Quest, my number 24.
And the robots are fun. Get those robots
sure.
in there.
My 24 is another 2020 game, and it's a game that I really enjoy. It's a giant, sprawling game with amazing game trays, giant monsters, and worker placement with combat. That is Dwellings of Eldervale. I love this game. I love the whole magical world feel of it as you're trying to collect different cards and figure out how to combo those together, but you're also very aware of like where the different spots on the board are, trying to set yourself up to build dwellings and move your stuff up the magic tracks, and then all the while trying to figure out, is somebody going to attack me here? Should I jump on somebody over there? Whether you win or lose in combat, it can kind of help you. Sometimes I wanted to get into combat and lose just so I could have the resources to spend on something else. It's a very interesting game, and a game that I really want to play a lot more of. I love the production of this game. I think all of it together just comes into one great package. That is Dwellings of Eldervale. It is a great game. Definitely check it out.
Cannot argue with you there. My number...
the coyness of Mike.
My number 24 is my final visit to the West Kingdom because it's the last game in the West Kingdom series. This is Architects of the West Kingdom. Now, I said earlier when I had Viscounts on my list that I think that will eventually become my favorite, and I do believe that may be the case. But right now, Architects is the one, that I've played the most. I've played with more groups of people. I also think it's the easiest to teach. And if I've had people ask, okay, so where should I start? If I want to try one of these games, where should I start? Unquestionably, you start with Architects. It's the most straightforward. It's the easiest to kind of wrap your mind around. And once you've played Architects and you kind of are comfortable with the systems and with the iconography, you'll have a step up in playing the other games because I think you'll like this one enough that you'll want to play the other ones. It's a very interactive game for a Euro, but I think it ever feels mean. I don't think it feels targeted because when your workers get kind of...
And you should play with us.
What's that?
You should play with us then. We'll change your feeling.
No. Because there are times that you want your workers to get arrested. I mean, you can, if you have certain cards, that can actually help you. And that's the thing. It's one of the things I like about this game is that you've got options. You've got a lot of ways that you can kind of manipulate the players around you, manipulate the points, and get that victory ultimately. And actually, I've won this game a few times. That also helps me like it. But it also is it plays in a reasonable amount of time. It scales well. I've played it at 2 and really enjoyed it. I've played it at 5 and really enjoyed it. And I love it at solo as well. So Architects of the West Kingdom, I think, is a really terrific game. And if you're interested in this series, start there and see what you think.
Mike, I'll say something I do disagree with you on a little bit.
Okay.
I think if you played Paladins and you liked it, I would say, well, you should try Viscounts, and vice versa. I would really disagree on Architects, though. You might love Architects, but you may not like the other 2 games in the series. That's true. That is true because it's very different than the other 2.
Right.
Interesting.
Very different. I suppose. Well,
take away the graphic design. I know the graphic design is really similar.
I gotcha. Yeah, it's more standard worker placement, right? The big hook there is that the more workers you put in a space, the more stuff you get. It'll feel more familiar to people that have played worker placement, whereas Paladins is a series of interconnected mechanisms, and so there's a lot more there. Viscounts is a little bit more clear on what you have to do, but there's other systems. I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but yeah.
Oh, as a side note, Mike, Jeff said he lost a bet that PAX Premier 2nd Edition wouldn't show up on any list.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't know if you're happy or sad about that, Jeff, but
so he lost the bet. So
I guess he paid
but
up.
maybe he wanted to see it.
Confused, but
Would you guys say, since you have experience much more than I do with Paladins, and I haven't even played Viscounts at all, is Viscounts easier to learn than Paladins?
No, it's the same. I think it's actually. I think it's more difficult, frankly.
Wow.
Pass. Hard pass.
But this is.
I disagree with you on that one. I think Viscounts is easier to learn than Paladins, but that's okay.
I'm back
This
in.
is AM.
Back in. Big time.
I feel like.
No, Tom, it's definitely PM. It's like 3 in the afternoon here. Anyway, 24. is a game that I've had on my list for approximately 1 billion years, and this is a game called Compatibility. Compatibility is a party game in which you have a partner. I don't know why my voice broke on that one. That was weird.
Partner.
You have a partner. You have a partner.
Mark,
You
grown
each have
up,
an
dude. Don't worry.
identical. You each have an identical deck of cards. You're giving a cat. You're given by the game a category, and then you go through this deck of images and words and colors and what have you, and pick 5 or so that you strongly associate with that thing. Arrange them, those 5, from your strongest association, and so on through the other 4, and then compare that to your partner in the game. That's the game, with different teams, two different couples. I love it. It's fun. It is. It's one of those games that is unlike a lot of party games. It's not a shouty game. It's not a speed game. This is like the lounge version of many sort of like disco party games. I don't know if that's kind of coming across what I'm saying here.
That's
This
the
is
quote
like
I want to see on the box.
they
an
already
interesting
stole my
analogy.
quote. They already stole my quote from Board Game Geek.
That's
This is
true.
this is like the wine and cheese of party games in many ways. For me, that's how I feel about it. It's just sort of like a relaxed party game. You can have some laughs, you can enjoy yourselves, but it's chill. I like that about it quite a bit. Compatibility 24 for me.
The only quote I see on this box says, "Arguably the best game of the decade."
That's not me. Not the edition I own, but there's another printing of it that I remember being at a game store, and I picked up a copy of it, and I read the back of the box. It said something. I was like, man, that sounds familiar. As I read the whole thing, and at the bottom it says Board Game Geek. I'm like, okay, I guess it's a Board Game Geek quote, but it sounds really familiar. So I pulled out my phone and looked up what my comment was on Board Game Geek, and they stole it from me wholesale, baby. It was exactly my quote, word for
The
word.
day after is when I asked him to join a dice tower.
Oh.
He'd
To
made
get
it.
the credit he deserved.
Yeah. You're in now. I'm an insider.
All right, People's Choice 24 has been on all 10 years, and in the first 2 years, it was number 1. It's declined a bit. So what is this game that was number 1? Roy, you can't guess. You're looking at it.
It's a crossover with me.
In 2011 and
Hint.
2012 was number 1 easily by a mile, and now has fallen down a bit, but still very popular.
2011 and 2012.
Yeah.
Cosmic.
It was not Cosmic. No, this game was being played everywhere during that time frame. No.
Splendor? No, I don't know.
No.
It is the original deck building game, Dominion.
Ah.
here-
Dominion
Wow,
came
still-
out in like
still that
08
high.
or 09.
It did, but in 11, it was still at the height of its popularity. It was still, smashing. I was about to say pumpkins for some reason, but it was just.
I put that on the new edition of Dominion. Dominion. Still smashing pumpkins.
Smashing pumpkins since 2011.
All right, anyhow, very popular deck building game. And you know what? Even though I don't think it played as much anymore, it's still popular enough, and I still think a lot of people think of it as their game that many of them got in a hobby, because this brought a lot of deck builders into the hobby. So, Dominion, People's Choice, number 24. My number 23 was number 26 in 2005. And it was number 25 last year. So it stayed pretty consistent over the years. Although in 2005, I didn't call it its name. I called it Carabande. Now I call it simply Pitch Car. Pitch Car, the cheapest game on this list when compared to a grand piano. It's a very big game. If you buy just the base game, I guess it's not that expensive, but you're going to want to buy more. It's a flicking track game. It was already on Roy's list, I think, right?
Yep.
I love this game. To me, this is a worthwhile investment. Even though it's a pricier, bigger game, you can get anybody, except for Uncle Joe, who thinks it's stupid. Everybody else likes this game. You bring it out at a family gathering, everybody from little kids to old grandma, they'll all play it because all you have to do is flick a car around a track. Everyone understands the rules. It's really simple, and it's just a lot of fun. I always compare it to like having a ping pong table in a sense. It's just something that you bring out and have a great time. In fact, if you own a ping pong table, that's a great setting for this game. It's the perfect top to put this on top of.
Yeah.
So I'm not kidding. It's that or a billiards table.
Then you can't play ping pong, man. I'd rather play ping pong than pitch car.
Oh, boo! No!
Look, if ping pong qualified as a board game, it'd be on my list. And it would probably be in the top 20.
When's the last time you played ping pong?
1998.
As soon as you said 19, you're out.
Yeah.
Probably true. Let's be real.
When I was 19.
You have a standard track layout, Tom? Do you have like a go-to track layout?
No, I make it a different track every time. The only thing I'll say is your track should go around the outside of the table so people are not leaning on top of over the table. Yeah. But other than that, no, every time it's different for me.
Awesome. So I'm known for liking a lot of big epic games a lot of the times. No. And my 23
used to be. Now you're known for
my
liking
23
old
is starting off the epic train here with Eclipse. Eclipse is a big Space 4X game where you're exploring, expanding, exploiting, exterminating, economizing, because there's a lot of economy and Euro stuff going on in Eclipse, but I really enjoy the way the game works. You're trying to figure out how to explore and push yourself, but not push too far that you run out of money to that you have to pull back too much stuff. But it also has combat in it and exciting. As one of the best parts of this game is the fact that you can continually upgrade your ships with different pieces and different parts and make them in different ways. And they start building missiles, so you start building things to make their computers not work as well. So you go back and forth and then finally attack each other. This game is a lot of fun, and I really enjoy the way that it works out. Eclipse, my 23.
Sure. Interstellar space combat. That sounds exciting. But you know what's really exciting, Roy? That's right. Clouds. My number 23 is Petrichor, a game where you play as a cloud. It's an area control game where you play as a cloud.
Little black cloud.
That's right. Look, this is a high-stakes game of clouds, and you play weather-themed cards. It's really a card game. The board is made up of tiles that are out in a grid, and you are moving your cloud around this grid. You play cards to move your clouds. You play cards to add raindrops, which are these really lovely acrylic blue drops that you put in your clouds. When the clouds run into each other, they can create a thunderstorm, and eventually those rain clouds are going to spill over onto the board, and that's what's going to trigger the growing of the crop that's underneath them. It's a really unique game. It doesn't look like it should be a kind of cutthroat and super competitive area control game, but that really is what it is. Petrichor can be a very mean game. It's highly interactive, but it looks beautiful, so it's a little deceptive in that way. I really have liked Petrichor since it first came out, and they've added a few expansions that I think also make it even more compelling. They've added flowers, and as silly as that sounds, kind of ramps it up even more. They've got cows coming.
No, that's not the part that begins to sound silly, okay?
This
flowers
game now has flowers.
That's
right.
so silly suddenly. No. You've been mentioning the word cloud for an odd minute.
This is a great theme, Z, so back off.
I think it's ridiculous, and all of the expansions should follow suit. Petrichor is that smell of the rain after the rain, so the next one is to be like wet dirt. And after that, ocean mist. I mean,
well, I will tell you
people, it's
important.
The upcoming one is cows, Z, and it leans into the smell that cows can produce. I'll just leave it to you. That's it. Methane is absolutely a component in the upcoming expansion. So, yes, Petrichor. It's a wonderful area control game with a cool theme.
I have not played it actually, but I would give this a go just because it's so that theme is so outside of the box.
It is.
All right, my 23 is a classic. It's this thing has sold a few copies. Seven Wonders is my 23. It's slipped a little bit for me over the years, but it's clearly, still hanging on to my list. They've got that new edition now, which is a nice sort of slight sprucing up of some of the mechanisms. They've had years to sort of get feedback on what might feel slightly off. I trust the designers and developers to tweak that stuff. I'm sure they did a good job with that. But the game itself, this idea of, hey, we're going to play this game. It's going to take 35, 40 minutes, whether you're playing with 3 or playing with 7. And that's generally true. That core concept right there was sort of the mind blower 80 years ago or whenever this came out. And it's a game that plays quickly. Now, I think it's overestimated how easy this game is to play and teach. I think there's a little more to it than that. Yeah. But once everybody knows how to play, man, nothing functions as smoothly as playing a game of Seven Wonders. Get a card, look at them, draft one, bam, boom, bam, boom, compare strengths, next round. And you blink, and you're a third of the way through this game. It's true.
Yep.
Seven Wonders. Love it.
I thought the only rule you really had to teach is just don't let one person get all the green cards.
That's basically it.
My favorite aspect of Seven Wonders, which is a fantastic game, hovering right outside my top 100, is the fact that every time I play it, I never exactly know who's going to win. You can look around the table and you can kind of get a sense, but there's still always that feeling of who's going to get this one? Who's going to get this one? I love it.
Yeah.
All right, number 23 for the people was 40 last year and 65 the year before that, which is interesting to me because the game, I think, came out even 2 years before that, and it didn't get any buzz till, I guess, Renegade brought it to the mass people and also was nominated for the Kennerspiel, and that's Raiders of the North Sea. Because this was out without much buzz at all for a while, and then there was suddenly buzz. I mean, no one had even heard of the first one, the Shipwrights, at all. But then Raiders, I remember we played it for the first time, Z. We thought it was a fine game. And then at least well over a year later, then it suddenly started getting a lot more buzz.
Right.
And it's still doing well. And in fact, it's interesting that it's higher than Paladins of the West Kingdom, just because of the luck involved with this one. So I like it. I'm glad to see it on the list.
Yeah,
it's a crossover with me. So Raiders of the North Sea, 23. Okay, here. So 22 was 26 last year for me, and that's the first year. It's debuted very high, and it's going to stay high because one of my favorite mechanisms is push your luck, and this one does it exactly the way I want to. Even if I have to say that if it didn't have the Board Game Geek pieces, I might drop it 50 ranks. And that's Quacks of Quedlinburg. I love those pieces. This is when someone says, like, what game would you upgrade and why? It's not even close. That is the number one, and that's why Board Game Geek sells more of those than almost all their other stuff put together. Quacks of Quedlinburg, where you just pull chips out, and then you just push your luck a little bit. And it's not... The game is really smart. Even if you push your luck beyond belief and bust, you still get to do stuff in the first few turns. And in fact, if you bust over the first 4 turns of the game, you still have a good chance of winning. It's not that big of a deal. But the game still gives enough of that danger and things involved, and there's a lot of variation in the game. I just love this game. And it's one of those ones that I like teaching people who've never played before, because they just get a kick. Everyone seems to get a big kick out of it. So Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Awesome. My number 22 is a game with worker placement, but it also allows you to gain dice and take those dice out on adventures and combats against giant monsters, and that is Champions of Midgard. I really enjoy Champions of Midgard, and this is with the expansion included with Valhalla, so that way when your dice die, you can buy even more cards with it. I really enjoy the way this game works as you're collecting stuff, sending them out on a boat across the ocean, fighting monsters, fighting trolls, fighting Duragar, fighting giants, all sorts of different things that you're taking out, trying to collect sets of these different monsters, gaining victory points for all of that, and trying to figure out how to basically build up all of your dice pool. Let's send them out, let some of them die, buy some cards from Valhalla. Just trying to figure out how to put all of that stuff together is a lot of fun for me. You also have to have food to send them out on their voyage. This is a great worker placement game, and this is basically the game that kind of killed Lords of Waterdeep for me, just because not only were you gaining a bunch of different resources and things like that, but you're taking those adventurers and actually sending them out into combat, which was a lot of fun, and I enjoy. Champions of Midgard, my number 22. And Mike needs to play this.
I think it has a little bit more excitement in it.
For
Mike
sure.
hasn't played it.
Mike has never
I
played
have
this
not
game.
Played this one. Yeah, I don't know why. I've never played it. I'd like to.
We should put it on the list.
Okay, all right, I'm writing it. Okay, my number 22 is a crossover with at least Mr. Z Garcia. I don't know if it's been on other lists. This is Everdell, and boy, do I like Everdell. This is a game, my favorite aspect, Z's talked a lot about it, and I agree with everything he said. So the only thing I'm really going to add to what he said is that the thing that I really like about Everdell is its sense of pacing, which doesn't really feel like any other game that I've played anyway, where at the beginning of the game, you've got basically, you can have 15 cards in front of you. And you feel like at the end of the first season, because it's played over seasons, you're thinking, there's no way I'm getting 15 cards in front of me. You know, you may have one card in front of you at the end of the first season, but it just builds on itself.
I remember the first time I played, I thought to myself, why would they implement a 15-card limit?
Right. Yeah.
Who cares?
You just feel,
like, why even mention that rule? I'm not going to get anywhere near it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just love that about the game. It has a really great incremental feel, so that you just, every season you're doing more and more, and your combos are building off of more things, and cards you have allow you to get other cards for free, something also that Seven Wonders does that I like a lot. It's just a rock solid game. This game is one that the more I play it, the more I feel like it could be a modern classic. It really has that feel to it. Very, the theme is approachable. It's not, I don't know if I'd call it a welcoming game, Z, because there's a fair amount going on. It's definitely a step above that, but the theme is certainly one that's appealing. And so I like Everdell, and I like the expansions as well. I feel like it's taking a good system and just making it better and better. So this could even go higher in my list. Who knows? I really like Everdell.
This one's not on my list. This one's not on my list, Mike. I enjoy it, but I don't even think it would make my top 300. I think it's a fine game.
Wow.
I don't know why. I think it's not as smooth as other engine building games for me.
We could have had a 5-way. Tom's holding us back again.
Yep. Tom ruined this one, and I'm not even sorry. The game's fine. I enjoyed it, but whatever.
I agree with what you're saying, though, Tom. I think you're right that it is not as smooth as many other games. Like, it does things that I would normally, in a design, in a vacuum, I would say that's not a good idea, you know? Like things such as, like, this card is free if you have this exact other card in front of you.
Right.
That's generally not a good idea. I would say, like, you don't want to do that in your game. But it works in this game. And I agree, it's not as smooth. It is a little sort of... but those sharp edges add personality to the game for me.
Sure, I'm not... Again, I like the game. I just don't love it as much as y'all.
No, that's fair.
Okay. 22 for me is a game I've played for many years. It is a racing game. I like that style of game. That'll make enough. And this one is Jamaica. Though maybe saying it's a racing game is a bit of a misnomer because it's not all about that. There's plenty going on along the way. That journey is just as important as the destination. Along the way, you're going to be fighting other pirates, chucking cannonballs at them with the roll of a die, stealing the contents of their holds, hoarding gold, spending food and cannon powder to, enhance your attacks, of course, and enhance your ability to to make port along the way, and ultimately trying to get the most victory points. Yes, there's some slapping each other around, which is fine in this game. That doesn't bother me in this one. It's sort of part of the package. It adds some lively entertainment and interaction between what's going on, and I've just always had a good time with this one. I think it's a little if it's taken the slightest bit of a ding from me, it's because early in the game, when everyone's kind of bunched up at the beginning of the track, there can sometimes be a little too much fighting, too much of like that to spread out a little bit. But that's it. Everything else I adore.
How does the fighting in Jamaica go again? I missed that. That's how pirates always fought back in the day. Board the ship. Let's do this.
That's right. 22, Jamaica.
Mateus wants us to give a shout out to the South America gamers in Porto Alegre, deep south of Brazil.
Ooh,
Nice.
Very
Shout
nice.
out. I think
Shout
Masmora came
out.
from Brazil, so I'm happy with that.
Nice try, Mike. All right, number 22 for the people. It's the third year on the list. This game debuted on the list at 16, and it's going to be on the list for the next 6 or 7 years because its name is Azul. And Azul is just that popular. And,
Which one, Tom? Which version of Azul is this?
Well, the original one. Mike,
Oh, gotcha.
Mike, we
Gotcha.
don't have a problem with you liking the original one. It's when you said
The
you wish.
others shouldn't exist.
I don't even know how to respond to that. Azul,
Crazy.
no
That's
surprise for me.
Playing.
All right, my number 21 has been on my list for 13 straight years. I read the rules of this, riding the subways in Korea, and knew I would like it just from reading the rules. This is my definition of a streamlined engine building game, and this is where me and Z differ, because while I think San Juan is a fine game and good, Race for the Galaxy is where it is at. I have played this game more than almost any other game on my list, and I love it. And it's also one of the few games that, even though I've played it that much, if you said you want to play with the expansion or not, I'd be like, base game's fine, thank you. You know, the expansions are okay, and especially the first one, and the second one's a little better. You know, they're both fine. Third one, Then the fourth one stinks. And then the newest one, the Xeno, I've lost track of how many there are, but some of them are fine.
The latest one's not bad. I think the latest one has this sort of everybody attacking this extra alien thing on the side,
Yeah,
right? They're going through the station one. That's a mess.
That one's terrible. It also, I play this one a lot as the app, but I also like playing it in person. It's a game that once you know what you're doing, everyone just sits there and you can play really fast. I like Roll for the Galaxy a lot, and it has a very robust, interesting system, but Race has an elegance that just is, it's like fine dining. I could sit there and play this in silence and have a great time because the game is that engaging. And I rarely say that about a game because I normally want the back and forth between players.
I'm glad that I'm glad you like this one more than the dice game. I would agree with that. That's cool. I thought the dice game was higher for you at this point.
Well, they were really close for me at one point. You know, the one's newer and it has all that shininess. And I do like the dice game, but the card game is just so good.
Yeah, I love Race for the Galaxy. So my 21 is a app-driven game that is scenario-based, based in my favorite IP of all time, and that is Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. This is an adventure game where you're going out as different characters from the Lord of the Rings books and trying to uncover different things and keep threats down and explore and basically figure out what's going on in the story. There are 2 different maps in this. There's like an outer world map, but then there's also sometimes like you're in a dungeon or you're in a tavern, and the scenario can be very different, and what you're doing can be very different depending on where you're at in the scenario. I really like the versatility of this system, the way the cards work as you play them out, trying to get successes as you flip cards, and then building up some of those cards to trigger different special abilities, upgrading weapons and armor as you go along. This is definitely Lord of the Rings game that just feels like you're playing through this basically like not through the books, but through different stories in the world of Middle Earth. And it's very enjoyable, and I've had a blast with this so far, and I really want to play it a lot more. I got the expansion for it, which I haven't played at all. It just adds massive amounts of more content to the game. I'm super excited to play more of Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle Earth.
Have they added, like they did for Mansions of Madness, scenarios to the app?
Oh yeah, they added, when the first base box came out, they had a downloadable scenario you could buy in, and then they came out with the expansion, which added more scenarios, and then I think they have another scenario that you can buy. So they have like digital downloads for the app that give you whole scenarios to play through. So it means the Madness,
like
you would buy
using the stuff you've got, you can buy a little extra something just in the app. Right.
Yep. And now they have like twice as many characters as they did before, and twice as many monsters, and regrettably twice as many tiles, because there's so many tiles it's hard to like dig through and find the right one sometimes, but I still really enjoy the game.
All right, my number 21 is my favorite skirmish game by a pretty large margin. This is Wildlands by Martin Wallace. I absolutely adore this game. I used to think I didn't like skirmish games, and then a number of them came out, like Funkoverse and Unmatched, and I realized, hey, maybe I do like this style of game, but of them all, I like Wildlands the most. It's a pretty simplified system. It's all card driven. There is no dice, and essentially what you're going to be doing, one of the big hooks to the game for me, is that there are a whole bunch of maps that have been released. The original game came with 2, but on all the maps, basically almost all the maps, they have 40 squares, grids, and you've got a card that represents all of them. At the beginning of the game, every player is going to get 10 of those cards and randomized, and 5 of them are going to be where your 5 characters will pop up through the game at your choosing, and the other 5 are going to be shards that your opponent are trying to collect. And I really like that during the setup of the game, there's so many cool decisions to make, because you may want to spread their shards all across the board. You may want to have it so that their shard is somewhere where you can pop one of your characters up and kind of hit them when they're going for it. It's really clever. Very kind of simple to understand the line of sight. It doesn't get caught in a bunch of rules. They've continued to support this with new factions and with new maps, and there's actually a new big box expansion that's coming out very soon that I've had a chance to play. That is wonderful. So I'm really thrilled that they're supporting this system, because I think it's one that deserves it. There's a lot you can do with it. Even just little tweaks to the map really change the way the game feels. So I really have enjoyed Wildlands. I taught it to Roy, and had a good time playing with him. So looking forward to more Wildlands.
It's good.
Nice. All right, my 21 is a Euro game from a company I just mentioned earlier in this list, Aporta Games, and this is Santa Maria. Santa Maria uses a core system that they had in one of their roll and write style games, now all grown up and thrown into this big, Euro game that's got a whole lot going on. But that system, that core idea of drafting dice that have been rolled, and then with that die, activating a row or a column in this grid you're building up, and triggering every little piece of tile along the way, where at the beginning of the game, you do something and you get a piece of lumber. And then 7 turns in, you do the similar move, and now you're getting a lumber, 2 stone, and move up on this track, and you draw this thing, and I don't remember what all the resources are, but so I love that. Again, it kind of builds up what's going on in the game. Even within all that, the game is still fairly straightforward. Like, the things I'm achieving in the game are clear. It makes sense what I'm trying to go for. I simply pick a direction and I go for that. And that's another thing I like in Euro-style games, is not this confounding necessity they have to obscure my view for the sake of seeming smarter. This game doesn't feel that way. It is smart. It doesn't need to sort of keep me off balance, so I think it's more ooh-ah than it is. That's how I feel about it. Santa Maria is an excellent game. Every time I play it, I have a great time with it. 21 for me.
All right, 21 for the people is a game everyone says has jumped the shark. It's been on the list all 10 years, but obviously still being played, still being bought since they just yesterday announced a new version of this game, and that's Carcassonne. Still a fantastic game with a lot of versions, a lot of expansions, to the point where people use one of its expansions, the Catapult, as a synonym for jumping the shark, even if I did enjoy that expansion, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only human on Earth who did. But yeah, it's Carcassonne. What else can we say? I mean, it's very popular. The simplicity of putting the tiles together. This is one of those games that I love seeing people's faces as they watch their cities slowly grow out. You know, they just look at it like, this is pretty cool the first time people play it, because they've never seen anything like it.
Right.
That's definitely how I felt when I first played it. Yeah,
for sure.
All right. Before we head out here, Rod says, thanks, guys. He has to leave because of work, or he won't be there tomorrow. And he wants to know if Z will sign his copy of compatibility if and when we see you at a convention.
absolutely. I will be happy to do it.
All right, folks. This is it for today. If you liked the video, we ask that you thumb it up. Let us know. Roy, you went up a percentage point in the poll.
Ooh.
We got 20 more of these tomorrow. Don't forget
20 more videos?
No, 20 more games to go through. I hate you, Mike. 20 more to go through, one at 10 o'clock and one at 2, both Eastern Standard Time. Our Kickstarter's still going on, only 56 hours to go. Tomorrow we'll be adding a new cool add-on to the Kickstarter, so come back for that. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies to watch the Dice Tower. Thanks so much. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Roy Candy.
I'm Mike Delisio.
And I'm Z Garcia.
All right. Have fun eating supper.